This is a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, and yes, that's an Airbus A320 launching from its deck. Unsurprisingly, landing an airliner on an aircraft carrier isn't quite as easy as launching one. But that said, the difficulty didn't stop me from attempting the landing, and there's plenty of footage of that coming up very shortly. Now you may be wondering why an A320 and not a 747 and a 787. Well, it turns out that both of the Boeing planes have a problem with this particular aircraft carrier and end up clipping through the ground once it's deployed. So not a lot of views, but the A320 doesn't seem to have that issue at all, so that is the craft we went with. Anyway, what is this aircraft carrier about? It's the USS George Washington, and it was released yesterday, or very recently, by Miltech, a third-party developer over on Orbix. Now it should be clear right up front that this isn't a fully simulated aircraft carrier. Microsoft Flight Simulator is not capable of that. In fact, if you want the best flight simulator aircraft carrier out there, then you're going to need DCS World and the Super Carrier add-on. But this is a lot cheaper, priced at £13, and it's all about fun. It's not too serious. We'll get more to the specifics on the aircraft carrier slightly further into the video, and there are some alternative versions as well. Now this Militech aircraft carrier comes with the external app that allows you to use a catapult as well as a tail hook for the arrestor. This needs to be connected to the sim. We can select a takeoff speed. I'm going for 130 knots. This is a Hawk T1A. Maybe a little bit slow, but that's what we're going with. We then need to switch back to the game for a moment, make sure the parking brake is on, full throttle, select ready to launch, and we can release the parking brake and we get accelerated up to that takeoff speed of 130 knots. Again, feels a little bit slow perhaps for this particular plane, but it seems it did the job. So this add-on comes with a number of aircraft carriers positioned in a variety of locations around the world. This one is situated right near Japan. You can send a request to the developers and they will also add in some additional aircraft carriers to other locations that the customers do recommend. Now when you want to come in for landing, you again need to switch back to the app, and this is where things can get a little bit tricky. You really do need to remember to use the tail hook. This right here is my first ever landing on an aircraft carrier with a fighter jet, and I think I pushed the nose a little bit too heavy into the ground. But we did make it. Let's have a look at that replay. So this really does highlight one other issue that comes with all the aircraft carriers, regardless of which ones you actually use. You do really need the crash detection switched off. So yeah, basically the way the sim is at the moment, Microsoft Flight Simulator, it's not too handy when it comes to aircraft carriers, and you need to switch that crashing off so that the sim doesn't think you're crashing into the sea and understand you're landing on an airport. Now the aircraft carriers are static, they can't move around. That is due to limitations with the SDK. So let's see how we land with the airliner. Not going too well here. So just a bit too slow, sped up, and we overshot, smashing straight through the bridge there, probably killing loads of people both on the plane as well as the carrier. Anyway, let's see how my other landings went. Oh, we're a bit high here. Let's just push down a bit. Oh, not too bad, not too bad. I think we're there. No. I forgot to deploy the hook. In the water. Okay, not too bad. I think we're gonna clip. We clipped the back of the carrier. Splash down again. Yeah, much. Oh no! I was just thinking that one was much better. Oh, what on earth? Where are we going? Have we just parked? Well, that is one way of getting the airplane down. Of course, we can't crash, but look at that, perfectly parked. Coming in a bit too low, aren't I? Slowed down too fast. Let's try and pick up speed. No way, we're going to miss this. Right into the back of the carrier. Ouch. Yeah, that don't look good. Okay, so clearly I've been aiming too far to the back of the carrier. Let's try a little bit towards the middle of the deck. I may need to push the nose down a little bit here. I think we're pointing up a little bit too high as well. Oh, are we going to make it? Yes, we're down. Ah, amazing. Let's see those replays. Okay, so that was really more attempts than I'd like to admit to. In case you're wondering how I've made these replays, that's with the third-party free software that you can get from flightsim.to, the website. It's called Flight Recorder. Basically, you can record any flight and then play it back. Basically, I play the flight back, and then record it from multiple angles. So very, very easy to do. I've spoke about it before in a previous video, which you can find linked in the video description. Very handy utility. Now, in regards to all the various aircraft carriers that are cropping up now, I do think that the Miltech one that I've shown in this video is by far the best one, and that's simply because it's, well, an excellent model, very, very well detailed and well put together. There are some other aircraft carriers out there though. There is the free version that was released quite a while ago. In fact, there's multiple free versions. You can get those again from the same website I mentioned a moment ago, flightsim.to. You can see right here the quality of these aircraft carriers is nowhere near as good as the Miltech one, but then again, you can get these for free. Meanwhile though, if you're on Xbox and you're wondering whether or not you can get carriers there, then the answer to that is indeed yes. The Unsim marketplace does have some aircraft carriers. These were released right at the beginning of November, I think maybe even the 5th of November, not long ago either way, so these are pretty new as well. However, the quality of these are nowhere near as high as the Miltech ones, but they are still pretty neat. The advantage here is that they come with multiple variations, so you get the Nimitz class carriers, but there's also other types of carriers as well, including the Queen Elizabeth aircraft carrier from Britain, as well as the Prince of Wales aircraft carrier as well. These are dotted in at various locations. They're certainly nice to use, and they all work with the arrestor and catapult utility launched by Miltech. And if you don't have the Miltech version, there's also a freeware arrestor and catapult launcher that you can find on the add-on website, and that is called Cloud Assistant. Unfortunately, none of the arrestor and catapult launches or launchers, mods, whatever, will actually work with the Xbox version. So there, if you're over on console, you're very much limited to what sort of planes you can use with the carriers, and these will be limited to planes that have very short takeoff and landing distances. So a few of the private aviation planes, and unfortunately none of the jets, or any of the turboprops I would imagine as well. Maybe some of the turboprops, possibly worth a try there, but either way it's something that you really need to keep in mind. Also, as I mentioned earlier on, all of the aircraft carriers, regardless of which version you buy, are all static. They cannot move around, and this is due to a limitation with the Microsoft Flight Simulator itself, a limitation with the software development kit. I'm hoping it's something that changes in the future, because after all, Microsoft are working on a Top Gun mod for, also a Top Gun expansion for Microsoft Flight Simulator, and that would include, from what we can tell at least, an aircraft carrier. So a static official aircraft carrier would seem a little bit silly really. I would hope that they can move, so fingers crossed that Microsoft and the SOBA are able to sort that out in the future. At any rate, that's 3 different variations on aircraft carriers that are currently available. One that's free, 2 that are paid, and there is a 4th one on the way as well. Details for all of these can be found linked in the video description. Really hope that you try some of these out. At least the freeware version doesn't cost anything after all if you're over there on PC. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.